Where the scripture comes from is Hebrews 11, and it's often called the Great Hall of Faith. And if you've ever heard of the Great Hall of Fame, this is kind of the same idea. But instead of being known for their fame, these people are known for their faith, their big trust and confidence in God, and God's character, even when the circumstances around them didn't seem to be going well. Moses is one of these people mentioned as of God even today. Moses knew it was worth it to identify under God. He knew that God would provide for him. And we see that God provided even when it didn't make sense. And it's really cool. When I was studying about Moses, I learned that his name in Hebrew means to draw out. See, Moses was born as a child of God, and he was born into Egypt. And throughout the Bible, Egypt represents the fall, life after the fall, where there's chaos, there's disorder, there's pain, there's suffering, there's destruction, there's suffering. I already said suffering, but there's just a lot of chaos, there's a lot of disorder. But God has hope for us in that chaos, in that disorder. When Moses chose to identify under God as God's child, and he lived a life devoted to God, being set apart for God, obeying God and submitting God, over time, his faithfulness of putting his faith and his trust in God, it pans out. God ends up drawing the people of Israel out of the place of slavery into the place of freedom. And this is a prophetic picture of what it's like for believers to identify under God, to be adopted into God's family. See, we were born into sin. We were separated from God. Yet when we choose to turn from the passions of this world, turn from our Egypts, and look towards God and identify as God's children and live a life of faithfulness to him and obeying him, he draws us out of these places of slavery and bondage to sin and suffering and brings us into a place of freedom, into relationship and grace and forgiveness with God. We can identify as children of God, and God won't waste our faith. So today I just want to encourage you, if you've been turning from your Egypt, from the things of this world, and turning to God, God's not going to waste it. God has good plans for your life. So keep looking at God, keep beholding God, keep searching for him and living a life of faithfulness. And I promise you, it'll be a greater treasure than everything that this world has to offer. So let Moses' faith encourage you today to turn to the things of God and trust him along the way. Bye, y'all. Have a good day.